Welcome to Distinguishable Problems in 1 Corinthians. Paul located 15 different problems. We will only cover a few of the problems that deal with specifically sexual relations, but also marriage. And they are incest in chapter 5, verses 1 through 13, prostitution in chapter 6, verses 12 through 21, and in regards to marriage, there was celibacy in marriage, chapter 7, verses 1 through 7. Christians married to pagans asking about divorce in chapter 7, verses 12 through 16. Christians married to one another asking about divorce in chapter 7, verses 8 through 11 and 39. And then questions surrounding marriage and remarriage in chapter 7, verses 25 through 40. First, let's talk about incest. Paul notes that a son should not be sleeping with his mom or stepmom in chapter 5, verse 1b. Verse 2 continues to say that the Corinthians were proud of this, but shouldn't be. They should have cast him out of their fellowship. Next, prostitution. Chapter 6, verse 15 starts off by saying, "Our bodies are members of Christ himself. So shall we take the members of Christ and unite them with the prostitute? Never." Then in 18, it says to flee from sexual immorality as one is sinning against their own body. I understand taking something literal, as I am known to do that on a regular basis. However, nothing should be taken literal without it being kept in context as well. In chapter 7, verse 1, the Corinthians were saying it is good for man to not have sexual relations with a woman. They took that so literal that that meant not enjoying what God created in the union of man and woman to be. Paul warns them in verse 5 to do not deprive each other, except perhaps by mutual consent for a time, so that you may devote yourselves in prayer. Then come together again, so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. One thing about Paul, he covers from both the husband and the wife standpoints, so that there are no more questions to his explanations. He does not want either man nor woman to burn in passion and says they should get married to keep from doing so. The same principle would apply if they are married to not divorce. As per previous verses, in this chapter and in the Bible and other books, when a husband and wife come together in marriage, they are considered one unit. A divorce does not make them any less than one unit. Unless they commit adultery, which is a sin, could one be in good standing with God and divorce. However, if a marriage can be reconciled, that would be better. God is big on relationships. In chapter 7, verses 12 through 14, it speaks of the pagan spouse being sanctified through the Christian spouse. There is no need for a divorce in this case because they are sanctified. So, how does Paul handle the questions surrounding marriage and remarriage? He says there is no sin in being committed in a marriage, nor is there sin in being single. Paul wants to protect the Corinthians and us from any troubles. He wants us to be free of concern. He doesn't want to discourage or restrict anyone. He just wants 100% devotion to God and no distractions. Don't get me wrong, like at the beginning of this slide, there is no sin in marriage. But in chapter 7, verses 33 through 34, Paul says, "But a married man is concerned about the affairs of this world, how he can please his wife. and his interests are divided. An unmarried woman or virgin is concerned about the Lord's affairs. Her aim is to be devoted to the Lord in both body and spirit. But a married woman is concerned about the affairs of this world, how she can please her husband. So here's some final tips and takeaways. Do not involve yourself in incest or prostitution. Celibacy in marriage is not a good idea. Marriage was made for the opposite, that husband and wife could come together. Marriage is a covenant not to be broken except in biblical circumstances. An unbelieving spouse is sanctified by the Christian spouse. It is not a sin to be single or married. And love each other with a Christ-like love. Until next time, thank you so very much for watching this presentation.